The 14-year-old uncle of a 12-year-old West Yellowstone boy found dead in his grandparents' home is now being charged as an adult.
Mike Bloomberg made his first appearance at a Democratic presidential debate last night in Las Vegas, and he quickly came under attack. I'm Laura Podesta with details on the jabs he faced over his wealth and record.
Welcome back to Montana This Morning. Time now 6:29. We've got Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell, and I think the word of the day is burr. As Chet said earlier.
Capital B.
Cold.
And a capital R.
Yeah.
It's very cold out there. Most of our area temperatures are near zero or below. West Yellowstone, nearly 30 below. 29 below this morning in West, 2 below in Belgrade, 8 below in Butte. Wind chill is what we're keeping an eye on. Luckily, we don't have a ton of wind. 15 below this morning in Dillon, with our wind chill. Our skies are fairly clear. There's snow on the ground. There's very light wind. That's really what's setting up that very cold start to the day. But our afternoon only building into the mid 30s for the afternoon, but that's due to all this sunshine. Let's soak in the sunshine. We'll talk about how warm things will get, and we do have some changes. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Right at 6:30 now on this Thursday. An update to a story that we've been bringing you out of West Yellowstone for a while. 14-year-old boy will be tried as an adult. That's in connection with the death of his nephew in West Yellowstone.
James Sasser III will be charged with deliberate homicide alongside Hurley's grandparents, Patricia Batts and James Sasser Jr., who are both charged with deliberate homicide through association. MTN's Cody Boyer reports from the Gallatin County Law and Justice Center.
Be so cruel and so cold-hearted to especially your own grandson.
Court document after court document has revealed what Gallatin County prosecutors have called a horrific story. Systematic abuse to 12-year-old James Hurley at the hands of his grandparents, Patricia Batts and James Sasser Jr. According to court documents, Hurley was found dead on the living room floor of his West Yellowstone home after Batts called 911 with a different story, claiming the boy had been hearing voices, threatening his family and harming himself. But it's Hurley's uncle, 14-year-old James Sasser III, whose story unraveled. At first, court documents show Sasser told investigators that Hurley had run into an entertainment center, and on the night of January 27th, saw Hurley standing over Batts with a knife as she slept. But those same court documents show he admitted that he had made that part up. At that time, Sasser told detectives he tackled Hurley, punching him several times on his body and on his head. And detectives made another note. Hurley weighed only 103 pounds. Sasser III weighs 300 pounds, standing 6 feet tall. The documents go back to the videos, filmed by Batts and Sasser III. And on Sasser's own phone, another video captured Batts holding Hurley against the wall by his neck, strangling him. No other arrests have been made at this time, yet the investigation is not over. Again, to make it clear, Sasser III is now being charged with deliberate homicide, while on the other hand, Batts and Sasser Jr., his grandfather, or Hurley's grandfather, are both charged with deliberate homicide by association. All three are punishable by up to 100 years or life in prison. Still, a vigil for James Hurley is planned at this time at 5 p.m. at the West Yellowstone City Park. In Gallatin County, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
6:32 now on this Thursday. And other news this morning, the state of Montana has lifted boating restrictions on Canyon Ferry Lake after several years of testing found no further sign of invasive mussels.
Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks implemented restrictions after a water sample from the lake was found to contain microscopic zebra mussel larvae. Since then, boats coming off the lake had to be inspected and decontaminated unless they took part in a, quote, certified local boater program. FWP leaders say they'll continue to monitor Canyon Ferry for mussels, and they'll keep some inspection teams running.
Every time a boat leaves the water, just make sure you clean anything off of it, weeds, plants, and make sure all the water's drained and the boat's dry. And that helps prevent the spread of invasive things. You know, invasive things could be anywhere, so it's just clean, drain, dry always is a good practice to help be part of the solution.
Multiple samples from Tiber Reservoir tested positive for mussels. FWP will maintain the stricter regulations there for at least 2 more years.
On the national scene, the top 6 Democratic presidential candidates went head-to-head in a fiery debate last night in Las Vegas.
And for the first time, they were joined by former New York City Mayor and billionaire Michael Bloomberg, who faced repeated attacks. Laura Podesta reports from New York.
Mike Bloomberg's surging poll numbers earned him a place on the debate stage as well as a target on his back.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren led the way as the candidates took aim at the former New York City mayor's wealth and record on race and gender.
The fact of the matter is, he has not managed his city very, very well when he was there.
Mr. Bloomberg had policies in New York City of stop and frisk, which went after African American and Latino people in an outrageous way.
After saying he regrets some of his mayoral decisions, Bloomberg pushed back.
I can't think of ways that would make it easier for Donald Trump to get reelected than listening to this conversation. It's ridiculous. We're not going to throw out capitalism. We tried that. Other countries tried that. It was called communism, and it just didn't work. Former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg, a moderate, went after both Bloomberg and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out.
Bloomberg is not on the ballot in Saturday's Nevada caucuses, but he will be back on the debate stage in South Carolina next week. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
President Trump, meantime, took note of the Democrats' rancor towards Bloomberg last night. The president told the crowd at the campaign rally in Phoenix, quote, "I hear he's getting pounded tonight."
In other news this morning, cancer treatment can be costly.
That's true, but there is a type of donation you can make to help support patients that doesn't involve money.
About 25% of our blood supply goes to treat patients being treated for cancer.
The American Red Cross and American Cancer Society have a new initiative to spread the word about how blood donations help cancer patients. Now, for some cancers, blood transfusions are part of a patient's treatment, and healthy blood supports the body as it recovers from chemo treatments.
They do feel much better and feel much stronger, and then that helps them fight their cancer.
You walk in feeling like really run down, but then you walk out maybe 4 hours later, but you walk out and you feel like a new person, like you can actually like get up and move and do things again.
Now, Stephanie Perry is a Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer survivor. She relied on regular transfusions. Perry was lucky because she was a universal blood receiver. Many other patients she encountered through her journey were not so lucky.
The man across from me was waiting on blood, and the man next to me was waiting on platelets. And they were waiting for hours, and they kept asking the nurse, like, where is this coming from? Like, why can't it be available right now?
The campaign is called Give Blood to Give Time. The hope is that donating blood becomes a meaningful way to honor a loved one who has battled cancer.
That's great stuff, and that's something that we can all do to help out there. It's a simple process to do that. Love that. Matt, you recently came back from covering a really fascinating story. Not something that I would have expected where you went.
No, well, it's fairly unique. Getting kids to the dentist can be pretty tough, especially as you get out into rural communities in Montana or maybe tribal communities, and that access can be limited for a number of reasons. But nonprofit Smiles Across Montana is working to change that. I got a chance to catch up with the folks from Smiles Across Montana out in Gallatin Gateway.
Open as big as you possibly can.
This isn't just an ordinary trip to the dentist. Dental hygienists Jamie Purcell and Crystal Spring are cleaning teeth in the library of Gallatin Gateway School. They're doing it today because there's a need, and for any number of reasons.
Parents having a really rigorous work schedule where they couldn't get the kids to their preventative appointments. That's where we come in and we work with their dentist or find them a dentist. So we're just going to go ahead and take your blood pressure.
But getting their teeth cleaned is only part of the process. Lack of access to a dentist in rural or tribal communities is a significant issue for some of these kids, which is where dentists like Nasim Alaga come in.
It's nice to get out to the outlying areas where children may not have a dentist for hundreds of miles, and being able to service those children and bring my skills to them instead of them having to go find a dentist. I'm proud to do it.
Even with roughly 15 dentists taking part in the program, sometimes it just isn't possible to have a dentist with them on all their trips. Technology now puts a dentist in the room virtually.
Because teledentistry is now a thing where it wasn't before. And so we do have access to more outlying areas because, again, I can have a camera show me everything that's going on.
While the need for taking care of immediate issues is important, Smiles Across Montana's main goal is for a more lifelong hope for a healthy smile.
Kids that wouldn't be seen normally are finding a dentist to see on a regular basis.
It's really important that the dental community understands that we want to encourage fostering relationships between the hygienists and local area dentists as well.
Reporting from Gallatin Gateway, Matt Owell, MTN News. A really cool part about this program, this is funded through several grants across the area. There's plenty of volunteers. There's a core of 6 main dentists, but about 15 dentists are working with them. And they're also supported with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana. So really cool stuff. You can get more information. We'll have a link up on our webpage, and you can check them out on Facebook or whatever.
That's a great story.
It's super fascinating to me. We were talking about it when you were telling me about this story. I grew up in a really rural area. I had to go 178 miles to the dentist. That was how that worked where I grew up. Having this kind of program where they come to you on a periodic basis, just phenomenal to me.
And a lot of these dentists take nothing for their volunteer, they're volunteering in their services. So like Dr. A, great work there.
And then the technology part, the teledentistry.
Yep.
That's just phenomenal.
It's changing, and that's a recent change. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
All the way around.
Thank you for
Great
sharing.
story. That was awesome.
6:40. We are going to take a quick break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, several thousand people in California without power for a few hours yesterday.
The reason for that outage will amaze you. We have that after the break, but first let's head to New York for a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, fight night in Las Vegas. The Democratic presidential hopefuls came out punching, and Michael Bloomberg was a prime target. We break down the winners and losers from last night's debate. Plus, patients beware. Our medical price roulette series shows why some hospitals are filing lawsuits to collect unpaid medical debts. Hear from one couple sued for nearly $37,000. And teed up for success in our More Perfect Union series, how midnight golf helps high school students change their lives. All coming up when we see at 7.